If you're watching this video, then you've probably heard of the quote that success leaves clues. And if you're like me personally, when I was on the come up, 99% of my time was spent studying and learning about successful people's history. Because I figured that if I could understand everything they went through to get to where they're at, then I could easily replicate their success. Now that I'm running a multiple seven-figure business with 30 plus employees, I spend 90% of my time studying companies that have been around for 50 years, looking at McKinsey that has been here for 100 years, looking at companies like Coca-Cola, learning about brand and distribution, all these little things that when you're just trying to get your first 10K per month or get your nice car, you're not really learning about this. You're just studying people. Today, I wanted to take the moment to do something that I've never done for you guys, for my audience, for my YouTube channel, and walk you guys through my story. I'm not gonna walk you through the business story. I'm gonna focus on the person story because I believe that if you guys get to understand how I grew up, when did I get started in entrepreneurship, you guys will get to see why I'm where I am today. Hopefully you guys will get to connect a little bit more with me. So let's get started. I was born in Rwanda, 1998. 28th of July. My name is Serge. It's a French name. I don't know why my parents called me Serge, because for those who don't know, I live in Quebec. Someone's uncle, old white man, is called Serge. So when people see me, a young black king with dreads, and his name is Serge, it's a little weird. Maybe I should have been called Sergio. Stayed there till I was 13 years old. Was raised with my grandma. I have 3 brothers, older brothers. I'm the youngest, really close family. 2011, I moved to Canada. I remember when I was still in Rwanda, right? I would go to bed and I knew that we were going through the visa application process of moving to Canada. And I was like, man, if I ever move to Canada or the States or in the Americas, I would be so excited. When you're watching movies in Africa, you see high school kids going to school and you see the experience of being a high school kid and you're like, wow, this is so sick. This is such an amazing experience. And I really looked forward to moving to Canada. Not that I had a bad life in Kigali in Rwanda. No, I had an amazing life. In Rwanda, or at least in Africa, at school, you actually get scored from first till the last in your class, right? And at some point, I think I had killed it that year and I was, first place. I remember getting a bicycle. That was the first gift that made me excited about actually performing. I moved to Canada at 13 years old and went through the high school experience. I already spoke French, I already spoke English. It wasn't like a crazy culture. The shift wasn't as big. I was young enough, but not too old enough where I was so stuck in studying, creating friendships. So moving here and adapting was pretty fast. To this day, 2 of my best friends are from high school. I didn't spend a lot of time doing a lot of the nonsense that a lot of my peers were doing at school, smoking weed, maybe hanging out, going to parties. I was not really like that. I'm personally a lone wolf. Like, I don't like to be alone. I would go to school, put on my nice little fit. At some point, I was in a period where I would like to skate. So I would go to school. It was pretty near from my home and I would skate to my school. I don't know what got in my head, but I did love to skateboard. That was good. So my high school experience was great. I did not do any lemonade stand. I did not want to be an entrepreneur. I did not want money. I didn't need money. I was just another 13, 14, 15-year-old kid. Graduated high school at 16, went to college. So here in Canada, they call it CEGEP. So I applied for college. I went into this program called admin. I didn't know what I wanted to do in college. It's not like I was excited about a specific major. I was smart enough where I could succeed at whatever I could pick. I wasn't necessarily excited about any specific path. In the transition from high school to college was when I got my first job. My first job was working at a grocery store in Nuns Island, which is where I live today. It's funny, circling back from working almost minimum wage. I think I was making like $13 an hour, bagging people's groceries, to living in probably one of the best penthouses in the same neighborhood, probably on top of the people that I used to bag groceries for. Is pretty exciting. So that's always a nice little story I like to think about. It's like, oh, it's pretty funny how 5 years, 6 years from going from your first job to living in probably one of the best residences in the neighborhood is pretty sick. But that was not the first job that I actually did. When I was, I believe, 15, 16 years old, one of my aunt let me park her car. I've never driven in my life before, but she was like, hey, Serge, you want to park the car from here to there? Guys, I swear to God, I got in that car. I moved it from here to like here, I fell in love. So much so that the moment I hit 16 years old, I actually figured out a way to make money. But this job that I found, it's literally the jobs that people who don't have papers is like they're like immigrants and they have no papers. They can't actually go get a job, a normal job. I went and found that job and went to work. You had to wake up at 4 a.m., take the metro, get at some place where there was a bus, and guys would get into the bus. And you don't even need to apply anywhere. You just need to show up. And whoever shows up is who they take to this like farm or this field. There were two things that I did: apple picking, and the second thing was eggplant picking. I guess that's what you would call it. So you would just clip every eggplant and put it on the thing. And the thing is, like, you were crouched up and you were bending, and it's like, imagine doing that for 6-7 hours to make $52 in a day. I had to cut up some eggplants to make $52. Why? Because I wanted to collect enough money to pay for my driving license. Let me clarify. Is it because I couldn't ask for $150 for someone in my family to pay it for me? No, I'd never been the type to want to ask for help, especially when it came to money. I don't like begging for money. I'm a grown man. I'm capable of finding my own money. I've never been a lazy person. I've always set goals, and if I want something, I'm gonna get it. That was my first experience. That was my first job. Now, I only worked 2 days. Third day, I quit. I didn't quit. I was just like, I'm not gonna do this. Like, I have an amazing home at home. I can ask for money. I don't need to go through all this suffering. But what that job taught me was that it gave me the discipline to know that it doesn't matter what I'm gonna do. I'm always going to do it and end up getting what I want. Because after working 2 days, I was able to save up enough money to pay for my first phase of the driving license. And after that, I asked my uncle to help me pay it. I got my first job, but after that, after I left that, I ended up just getting a job at the grocery store that I mentioned. When I started college, I believe I ended up leaving that grocery store job. One thing I forgot is before getting that grocery store job, one of the things that I did was find sales jobs. So during the summer, before I started college, was that I ended up finding this job where I would go door to door selling internet services, phone services for Bell. Bell is like an internet provider in Canada. It's pretty big. You would find these agencies that would contract Bell's work, and they would hire you on commission, pay per sale. You would go knock on doors every single day for like 8 hours. Like, you would just knock on so many doors. They would just pick a field and you would jump there with the person who was your team lead, and you guys would just spend the day knocking on doors trying to get people to switch from this provider to that provider. I think I worked that job for like a few weeks, maybe even a month. I did make a few sales, but it wasn't fun. It's just that I wasn't making good money. It wasn't consistent. I don't think I had been trained to be a great closer. So I didn't make enough money because I wasn't skilled enough. So what I ended up doing is I ended up leaving that job, but it built up the type of resilience that you only get when you sell door to door. If you guys have never sold door to door, I don't necessarily wish it on anyone, but if you want to build up some resilience and some discipline and some commitment, go knock on some doors. Go into people's buildings, knock on one apartment building, a door at a time, one after another, get into people's homes and build up a connection and start asking them about what they're doing, how much they're paying for their bills and everything like that. If you can do that, when you get into the online space, it becomes baby. It's nothing. I did leave that after the summer. I didn't stay too long. So when I started college, I also tried to get part-time jobs. So I would work in call centers where either it would be phone sales or it would be customer service. I also did a job where I was doing surveys. Most of these jobs, I would stay for like a month or two, and I would quit and find another job, primarily because I wanted something that would create that where I would learn. I didn't just want to get $15, $18, $19 an hour. It wasn't the money for me. It was more so like, how can I find something that I can do while still going to school? Because I was still committed in focusing on school, and I was also trying to upscale myself. This is where things started getting into the entrepreneurship thing, okay? When I was going to college, I met other friends who were doing network marketing. People call it pyramid schemes, but they're not pyramid schemes. It's just another business model, right? So I got into that. I did ACN, I did Melaleuca, I did Q Science, I did a bunch of them. I don't even know how I got closed on all of these. Essentially, the business model is really simple. You pay $500, you get access to be able to go resell the opportunity to other people, and they would do like presentations every week. You could invite friends, and if they wanted to sign up, you could get started in it, but they had to pay. And if they paid, you would get paid on their commission. And you also had other products that you could sell. Even though everyone hates on network marketing, I personally believe it's still an amazing experience, because what it did for me was it surrounded me with other people who wanted more out of life. If you don't have an environment that is looking for more, guys, you're gonna stay stuck in your own little bubble of people who don't dream, of people who don't want more from their life. I did that for a few months. I would stop one after like a month or two, and I would jump into another opportunity. It was like in a year timeline, I probably did 3 different opportunities. Was able to connect with a lot of people, was able to start getting recommended books that I should read. That's when I got into the mindset game, because they really focus a lot on mindset. How are you going to convince people to work for free unless you actually brainwash them into believing in themselves? I did that. I got brainwashed so deep that I was like, you know what? I need to get rich. Beginning of 2018, I was in my 3rd semester in college. During the winter break, one of the guys who was connected with the other network marketing was looking for reps who could do door-to-door to sell HVAC. When that opportunity hit my DMs, other friends who I was working with in the network marketing started working there, and I got introduced to that opportunity. They were earning up to a few $1,000s per week. And when anyone tells you that you're gonna earn a few $1,000s per week when you're 18 years old, you jump on it. Okay, so winter break, went to work, door knocking, HVAC, and that's the thing that led me to not wanting to go back to college. I decided to stick to working that job, not long. I only worked there for a month, but a month was long enough for me to not want to go back to school. I didn't go to finish college. I didn't get a college degree. I'd never got that. I worked there for a month, okay? And I realized that we were technically scamming people, because you're selling them a $10,000 package at 10% interest over 10 years. You're ending up getting them to pay like $20,000, $25,000 for the thing that they probably can't afford in the first place. So I didn't feel confident in selling that product, so I ended up leaving. But the second reason is because Canada gets really, really cold during winter. Like, I didn't want to knock doors during winter. It was so hard, guys. It was insane. Door knocking summer is already hard enough. Now you have to sell high ticket, and you have to do it through winter. I'm like, guys, I'm not brainwashed enough. You guys got to do more brainwashing, because I'm not brainwashed enough to think that I can stick to this and keep making money going around, running around. I stopped that, okay? I ended up leaving. When I left, I ended up starting applying to jobs, okay? And this is where I got probably one of my favorite jobs from all the jobs that I've had. I got a job working in an e-commerce company called Good Food. If you actually go on Good Food website, I started working there spring of 2018 is when I started working there, all the way to 2020 summer. So I worked there 2 years and I loved it. I got to start as a customer service rep. Then I started leading a team of customer service reps. I learned about customer service. I learned about how to manage people who are complaining. I managed to know how to serve. I managed to learn how to serve. It's an amazing skill, guys. If you never have ever been in a customer service department or worked in customer service, then you're actually gonna have a hard time maneuvering around people's emotions and being able to understand that people, even when they're upset, they care more about how you're gonna react to them being upset than the fact that they're upset about something, okay? So the best businesses care about their customer centric. They're focused on their customers, not because you're gonna have the best product, but just the experience you have when you communicate with a business owner needs to be dialed in, right? So I learned that there. I would take probably like hundreds of calls every day. They would call in, hey, my order is late. And I would be able to de-escalate the situation. And I got so good at it that I was able to be promoted to a team leader, where I had 14 reps working under me. I think that was after a year of working there. I was a team lead, learned how to manage people, learned how to coach people, learned how to audit people's performance, learn how to look at employees and learn how to speak to people, make them feel like make them want to do better. I'm sure you guys probably see me and you're like, oh, he's running client acquisition.io, making multiple millions of dollars per year. But was it from just a course? No, guys. I actually got a lot of experience working in the real world 9 to 5. Okay, so I got a job. I worked there 2 years and I built a lot of skill. I was only making $2,000 a month. Back then was enough money because I was still living at home. I built up a lot of skill that still helped me till this day. One of the most beautiful thing about having a job is that you get, especially if you're still living at home, was that I still had a little bit of money. I had like a budget to blow, right? To blow on whatever I wanted to. Maybe it was going out on the weekend, drinking Four Locos, right? Back then in 2018, 2019, it was a 9 to 5, but I would work throughout the week, and on a Friday, I would go out. I would go to a club. I would go to Saint Laurent. If you're in Montreal, then you know where the clubs are. And I would buy one Four Loko, go in the metro, and just one can of Four Loko would get you so fired up. It was like you had taken like 50 shots of tequila. Thank God that drink has been banned in Canada. You can't actually buy it. Most of the money that I was making, I started buying online courses. The first course that I ever bought was Amazon FBA by Dan Vass. I believe it was around $500 or less. I learned about Amazon FBA. I learned about finding products in China. I learned about how to source things. But then I didn't have enough money, enough capital to be able to buy these products and ship them. So that opportunity did not work out. The second opportunity that I got hit with was I saw this guy, it was doing Airbnb coaching. Back then, it was like in 2019, end of 2019, it was $700 and I had never been closed over the phone to buy a $700 product before. Most of these other courses that I had bought were sold on a funnel or just a website. But this one, you booked a call and they actually called you. So that was the first experience of being closed over the phone. So I paid the $700 and I realized that when I tried to find properties in Montreal, every single property was against Airbnb arbitrage. I just paid for this course, but in my whole city, no one wants to allow me to rent out their Airbnb. I didn't have enough money to go buy a property. I do know that some people are still able to do Airbnb, but I didn't get enough help from the course to be able to follow through. Amazon FBA works, Airbnb arbitrage or renting out on short-term rentals, it also works. But back then these courses didn't give me enough support or enough accountability and enough insights for me to push through. So those opportunities did not work out. Then I got another course hit my YouTube, I believe Scott Hilsey. It was this idea, he had built his thesis around one store funnels, right? So drop shipping. I bought that, I believe it was $500 or less. Every time I would buy a course, I would get so excited. I'd be like, oh my God, this is the moment. I started going deep down the rabbit hole of Facebook ad. I learned it. I watched so many YouTube videos, guys. And one of the goats of drop shipping who killed it really well was Gabriel something. He's on YouTube. I think he doesn't do anything. I think he got so rich from selling courses on drop shipping, and he was actually also doing it. He was really good at it, but he was also making a lot of money, like multiple six figures a month back then in e-com, and also selling a course. He would literally drop every single gem around how he was scaling his stores. I learned all his videos. I started running ads. I believe in total, I spent $300 on Facebook ad, and I got my first sale at the gym. So I was doing squats, training legs, and this notification hit my phone and I was, oh my God. It was $19. I was selling this shaker, and I had never been more excited. I'd never gotten this much dopamine from making $19 before. And I looked at everyone at the gym. I was like, oh my God, you all are peasants. I'm making money whilst doing squats. I was like, what? That's insane, right? That was the moment where I was like, okay, this shit might actually work. But $300 later, I only made another sale because I didn't understand marketing. I didn't understand copywriting. I didn't understand funnels. I didn't understand traffic. I didn't understand all these things, right? I just only knew, just push up an ad, test different interests, hope to make any money. So I was like, okay, that's not a strategy to actually build a successful business. There's way too many things that I don't understand about this model for me to be successful at it. Because even the simplified drop shipping, even though it was enough to actually understand e-com. I was just learning about dropshipping instead of understanding how people buy products, understanding about e-com in general. That also didn't end up working. Now, I had understood Amazon, I had understood Amazon FBA, I had understood Airbnb, I had understood dropshipping, and I was like, well, I know a little bit of ads, I'll know about all these other business models. Why don't I actually start a service business? And that's when Iman Gadzi came about. Back then, I don't even remember. It's been so long. I don't really remember the run that Iman had with YouTube ads and all these ads, but I think I got hit by his ad of a 17-year-old dropout or whatever. I ended up buying agency incubator. I was still working a 9 to 5, guys, just so you remember. I was working, I believe, from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. and I would study every morning before going to work. And over the weekend, I would look at all the lessons and spend so much time trying to focus on the onboarding videos. I would try to get on a linen shirt like Iman, and I would just sit there in my room and try to shoot videos, and I would be like, hey guys, so thank you for buying the service. Now I'm gonna walk you through our 90-day game plan or some bullshit like that. Guys, I spent so much time on onboarding that I never did any outreach. It was so weird. I'm like, why are these courses not telling you that you don't need an onboarding before you even get appointments? You can't even get leads. You can't even get interest. Why are you spending your time setting up Go High Level or ClickFunnels? It's one of the most useless things that I've ever seen. So that led me to being broke. Like, I just was getting smarter, but not making any money. From Iman, then I went into Sam Oven stuff. I didn't buy his course, it was too expensive back then. I got it from someone for like $19. Then Sam Ovens hit. Oh my God, Sam Ovens was so good when it came to mindset. And also like breaking things down. I've never seen someone spend 3 hours breaking down something that well. It's probably why my webinars are now 3 hours, because I learned from the greats, and it's only right I emulate what they were doing. Sam Ovens changed everything around how I viewed the world and how I viewed success. He helped me understand how systems work. Success wasn't luck anymore. I actually could see how to recreate success. It gave me a boost of confidence going through that course. Although he was also still saying, oh, you should do 40 outreach a day. That was also some bullshit. By the way, Sam, that's some bullshit. Because the market had become pretty numb. Problem with appointment setting led me to finding out about Nick Kosman. He was doing salesprocess.io, helping SaaS founders scale. He was really great at teaching me about outbound prospecting. That course I also did not buy. Shout out to Nick. One other person that I got insights from was Ravi back then. Ravi Abuvala was running ads around how he's using VAs. I didn't buy any of his course. I went into one of his VSL funnel, saw how he was leveraging $3 an hour VAs, and I was like, this is an interesting insight. I took Nick Kosman's outbound prospecting frameworks on LinkedIn and Facebook and email, looked at the VSL by Ravi, then I was like, oh, I could actually leverage VAs. On YouTube, Google, found onlinejobs.ph, a website that has like a marketplace for VAs from the Philippines, and I started hiring. Once I hired people, I was like, hey, you come implement this strategy. So I was like, I'm not gonna do outreach myself. It's not gonna work out. And I started getting them to do outreach for me. A few months before I did this process of hiring VAs, I actually quit my job. After 9 months of going through courses, I just got tired of just being a guy that just says that, oh, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna quit my job and build this company. I'm gonna quit my job and build this company. At some point, I just got disgusted by my lack of commitment. Whenever I wanna do something, I like to say it constantly. If I'm trying to buy a Porsche, I'll say, hey, I want a GT3. If I want to move into a penthouse, I'll be like, hey, I want to move into a penthouse for like a month straight. But I had said that I wanted to quit my job for probably a year. My idea was that, oh, let me wait to save up a little bit of money until I'm in the position where I can financially be able to afford. I realized that when you're working a 9 to 5, you're never going to get to a point where you can actually save money, because life happens. If you're getting paid an hour, you're going to have to spend time 1 hour after another, 1 hour after another, 1 hour, and then it's a month, and then it's years, then it's multiple, and then it's a decade trying to save up. It doesn't work. After 24 months of working there, all I had to show for it was like $8,000. That's when I realized, like, yeah, fuck this job. It's not getting me anywhere. I left my job summer of 2020. My family was like, hey, why are you leaving this job? If I ever need to make $2,000 a month, I'll just get another job. But in my mind, I was like, yo, this 30K a year is costing me 30K per month. When I started doing outreach myself, that's when I realized that, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to scale my business. That's when I've implemented the Ravi $3 an hour VA thing and Nick Kosman outbound prospecting to start doing outreach for me. And things started picking off. I believe 45 days into this process of delegating my outreach, I got my first client who paid me $4,500 for 90 days worth of work. And I've never felt more accomplished than the moment that I collected my first money on a sales call on a Zoom for my own business. It's one of the most fulfilling feeling. Like, it's one of the most beautiful feeling. Like, I've never experienced a high like working hard, leaving your job, putting everything, betting everything on yourself, then trying to do outreach and seeing that you're not booking calls, and then going a month, 2 months, and starting to book calls, trying to figure it out, right? You're still not sure what offer you should push. I was selling VSL funnels to coaches. I was just winging it. And to see that someone could believe in me enough to give me their money, that gave me the confidence to believe that, oh my God, so this is how capitalism works. This is how markets get built. You gotta make hypotheses, and you gotta get people on a call, and you gotta sell. And when I got that PayPal notification to hit, I was like, yeah, it's over. It would take me 2 months and a week worth of work to make that same money that took me 2 sales calls. And that's when I knew I never needed to get a job again. This whole idea of leveraging VAs led me to starting my appointment setting agency. When courses give you offers like advertising agencies, I realized that that's the wrong way for you to find service market fit, to find product market fit. The best way you should do it is you solve something for yourself and then you go sell it at scale. I actually stopped the advertising agency and I started selling appointment setting because I had gotten a lot of people reach out to me and they were like, hey, actually, I want to see how you're booking calls. And they were literally wanting to give me money. So I was like, you know what? Let me go all in on serving agencies and coaches and service providers online instead of going after coaches, selling them a VSL funnel on ads. 60 days later, I made my first $10,000 a month. 4 months later, I made my first $30,000 a month. I stopped done for you ads because it was getting too much, right? I had built like a team of 14 VAs. I had 1 manager, but it was just 2 people and a bunch of VAs doing outreach every day and like 22 clients every month. That model didn't work because clients would churn and I wasn't charging enough money. I would charge anywhere from $750 to 1.5K a month. And that was not enough money, not for the stress and the work. Although I was able to get to $30,000 a month, I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed, working 7 days a week, and I had to go serve the client on strategy. I would also go book my own appointments. I was still doing outreach in Facebook groups. I would put on a TV show and then go in Facebook groups, look at posts, look at comments, DM people, do 2 steps, get them to engage. Then I would be like, hey, let me show you this process that I'm leveraging to get e-com agencies appointments, coaches appointments. And they'd be like, yeah, I want to get on a call. And I would pitch them. They would buy my thing. I took 1 month, shut the whole business down, and instead I built a growth infrastructure. I turned the appointment setting service into something that I could build and release into other people's businesses. And that one idea of productizing my service, instead of doing the work, instead I would build in their company frameworks, a protocol, and talent and systems in their business so they can do it on their own. And I would just consult. That took me to my first 6-figure month, right? So July, I launched the offer. Month of August, I had made my first $45,000 a month cash collected. A month later, I was making $70,000 profit take home in a single month. That's when my life changed. After starting the build and release offer and the growth infrastructure, one of the things that I was doing was I had clients who had also other offers in other industries. And one of my clients had a guy that he was working with who was making $150,000 a week, doing the same kind of like thing that I was doing, but he was more so into coaching. What I was doing wasn't coaching. I would consult and coach on other things, but I would actually build hard assets, tangible things into businesses. Like I would place talent, I would build systems for them, right? But it pissed me off knowing that another 22, 21, 24, 25-year-old was making $150,000 a week. 2021, August, I sat down and I recorded on my phone an 8-minute video of me predicting that I would make $500,000 a month. I had set a goal that I would make $500,000 in a single month. Back when I was making just $50K, $70K a month, I was nowhere near the point or the scale or the understanding of being able to hit $500,000 in a month. And I'm running ads currently with how to make $500,000 a month as a headline. And people are so overwhelmed. Like, oh my God, like I saw someone say like, even Trump doesn't make that kind of money. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like he's a billionaire. But you can tell that $500,000 a month is a big number. It's a large number enough where it gets people uncomfortable. It gets them almost like breaking their reality. And for me back then, I was betting on hitting a goal that I didn't even know I could hit. It was 10 times the money I was making in a month. I had never even made $500,000 a year before I started setting a goal of making $500,000 a month. That's how crazy it was. In the next video that I want to do, going over my story, I actually want to do a reaction video to that 500K a month prediction. So in the next video that you guys will see, I hope you guys will get to watch it. And guys, that was my story from Rwanda to moving here to high school to getting my first job in a farm, cutting eggplants, picking apples, to working in a grocery store, getting to college, then leaving college to go do a door-to-door sales job. And from that to working a 9-to-5 and building up customer service skills, to taking all the money I was making from a 9-to-5 to starting self-education and investing after course after course after course, to the point that I knew about every single business model. I left my job summer of 2020, made my first 21K a month no, 10K a month in 2021, January of 2021. I ended that year after making my first six-figure month. So to make six-figure a month, it doesn't actually need to take you 5 years. You can make it in the first year. 2022, I ended it with making over $2 million in cash collected. And this is what's funny. I made over $2 million in 2022, okay? I collected over $500,000 just in December of 2022. 25% of all my year revenue was done in a single month. That was my journey. Not anything special. I've just done a bunch of stuff. Next video, I'm gonna be doing a prediction video, and I hope you guys are excited for it. Bye-bye. Or no, I'm gonna be doing a reaction video, is what I mean. Ciao. I hope you're enjoying this video, but I have a quick question for you. Would you like me to show you how you can create your own build and release offer and have it launched and validated in less than 7 days? And offer a growth infrastructure that you can sell for $10,000, $15,000, all the way up to 6 figures for a single growth infrastructure. If you'd like me to do that, to show you how I personally went from a 30K a month agency and took my done for you service, commoditized service, helping other service providers scale, right? That's something that everyone was doing back in 2021. Today's even worse. I took that, attached other mechanisms to it, and started selling it for $15,000. That same pivot, that single pivot, took me from being stuck at 30K per month, working 7 days a week, to making over $500,000 in cash collected in a single month a year later. What I've decided to do, because of so many questions that I get on my YouTube, on Instagram, and Facebook, is I decided that I want to spend a few hours with you, show you exactly how it would go from idea to creating a hypothesis on the offer, bringing up the mechanisms, and scaling it to 6 figures a month. Instead of selling done for you coaching or done with you consulting or even info products, sell growth infrastructures. Okay, it's the same thing that Hormozi did with Gym Launch. He figured out a way to scale gyms, built an infrastructure and a protocol, and would sell it to gyms for $16,000. That's what Nick Cosman did with remote salespeople. That's what he did in the SaaS space. That's what he did with growth consulting. That's what Cole Gordon is doing by building and releasing his appointment setting via Sell Funnel today, making $3-4 million a month. That's what Cabax is doing with his funnel that he's selling on ads. Everyone is selling productized growth infrastructures. That is the thing that you guys don't see. Maybe you're seeing it, but I want to invite you on joining me on the webinar, the last webinar that I'm going to be doing this quarter on May 8th. Click the link below and register. It is not free, unfortunately, because if you don't want to actually implement, then that's okay. You can just keep on consuming free content. I've already made a 12-hour program course on how to do it yourself. But this time around, I want to show you how to do it in 7 days for $19. Jump in, get on a call with me, and let me show you how I did it. We've already done it in multiple niches, e-com, SaaS. We have so many clients in all industries that have done it. Okay, so click the link below and register, and see you on the other side. Bye-bye.